First thing that I want to do is to welcome you all to this celebration. You know, as a museum administrator, I'm very excited about this day, but really I'm more importantly, I think, excited about the fact that this is a real accomplishment for this community. This event symbolizes a great deal to me, and I know to all of you, and that's why you're here. I often hear that these old buildings are eyesores and that we ought to just knock them down. But what I have seen over the years, time and time again, is that in the museum field especially, these buildings are triggers for memories. And they're not memories of buildings, they're memories of people. And the people that lived and worked and played and celebrated in these buildings, that's what's important, and that's what we're trying to preserve. The building is just a tool for doing that. I think this building is the prime example of that very thing. Not only does it have many, many stories to tell, but it holds stories of people who do not have anywhere else for their stories to be heard. And I think that's the thing that we need to accomplish the most here. So in my mind, this is the greatest and the most important and most appropriate step that the Blacksburg Museum could be taking today. Remembering the history of the Newtown community that once thrived on this very site, and to recount their stories and how their lives have affected every single one of us that calls Blacksburg home. We're thrilled that you are here today and to help us to celebrate this major milestone in the project. I have some introductions that I want to make for quite a few people that have been very involved with this project. And I hope you understand that this is a very comprehensive list, but it's important that we recognize these folks. And I want to start with the town council members, and I know there are several that are here today. I want to recognize Mary Holloman and Paul Lancaster from the past council that were very instrumental in this project as well. Of course, Mayor Ron Rordam, who you're going to hear from later, Vice Mayor Leslie Hager-Smith, Susan Anderson, Don Langrier, Al Layton, Derek Myers, and Tom Sherman, who you'll also hear from later. I want to thank all of them for their support for this project and for their vision to seeing that this was something important that needed to be done. I also want to introduce to you former Mayor Roger Hedgepath, who is also here. There he is right here. He also was very instrumental in this project and was the one that received the gift from the trustees of this building and agreed that this was a project the town wanted to take on. Nice to have you here with us today. I also want to recognize the Museum Committee and the Oddfellows Hall Subcommittee of the Museum Committee that are in attendance today, and not all of them were able to be here with us today, but I do want to recognize their names. On the Museum Committee, Hugh Campbell, Paul Ferrier, who is the chairperson, Bill Green, Charles Johnson, Ann Linden, Kay Moody, Mike Rosenzweig, Francis Russell, and Tom Sherman. The Oddfellows Hall Subcommittee consists of Walter Lewis, Aubrey Mills, and B. Walker, who you're also going to hear from later, Kay Moody, Tom Sherman, Paul Ferrier, and Ginger Wagner. We thank all of them for their service for this project as well. There have also been quite a few town staff that have worked on the project as well. Jessica Wergo, who is my predecessor, was the one that began this project and built a tremendous foundation that I was able to step in and start building on right away. So we want to thank her. And I also want to specifically recognize Mark Verneel, who is the town manager, and Steve Ross, who is the deputy town manager, because both of them have been very communicative to me to say, this is an important project, let's make sure we get this done right, and they are giving me the power to do that. As a person for their manager in a job, that makes my job much easier. So I appreciate the efforts that they have given as well. The project team for this project of town staff consisted of Adele Shermer, who is the engineering and GIS director, Bonnie Priest, who is the purchasing manager, Lee Hickson, who is one of the town engineers, Heather Browning, who is the community relations manager, and myself as the museum administrator. We spent a lot of time together and worked very hard to get this project in budget, but we did it. Also want to recognize some other supporting staff members like the folks at WTOB who have been helpful with the invitations that you got, the programs for today. They're actually filming it today, have been helping in a lot of ways. The engineering and GIS department in their support roles to what the project team was doing. Likewise, the planning and building department and the public works department who have helped tremendously in helping us get the building cleaned up for the event today, and their support of the project as it goes forward. The next thing I want to do is to recognize donors to this project. If you are a member of the Blacksburg Museum, and if you're not, you should be, and you can get a brochure over there. Or if you have made a financial contribution to this project, or if you have given your time to support this project, you have made it possible for us to do this. Raise your hand if you're one of those people, and then give yourselves a round of applause for what we have done today. Next, I want to introduce the project architect, Barry Rakes. Barry is standing over here. We'll get him to wave. Barry lives and practices in Fincastle, Virginia, and his practice specializes in historic restorations. And he has been a pleasure to work with and has come up with a great plan for this building, and we really are looking forward to continuing to work with him. Likewise, representatives from Building Specialists Incorporated, who are the contractor for this project, are here also. The president and founder of BSI, Bob Fetzer, was not able to be here today, but he and Daniel Hurst, who is the vice president of the company, both worked with us very closely in the value engineering that we did to get the project to meet budget. They worked very hard with us and actually were very generous in some of the things that they did, and were one of our contributors financially to the project, so we appreciate that. Project manager Jennifer Caldwell is here in the back, and marketing director Sandy Murray, who also helped us coordinate publicity for today's event. I want a little bit of logistics to invite you to stay and have coffee and cookies with us after the event is over. Mill around and talk to the folks of the community, let them know some of the stories that you remember from this site. There's information on the tables over here about the museum and the museum program, so be sure and check that out. If you haven't already gotten a program, make sure you pick one of those up over on the tables here as well. And the construction team will actually be over there at their table as well if you want to talk with them about the project as it proceeds. I thank you again very much for being here today. Next, I want to introduce the mayor, Ron Wardham. He's going to come up and carry the program from here.